So here's the deal with the Browns. We talked about this, Chris, in the first hour before you got here. So we know the deal, right? They got the quarterback. They got the quarterback of the defense in Myles Garrett. They have their head coach, Kevin Stefanski. They have a young GM, Andrew Berry, in his 30s. Everything is finally coalescing the way that they have wanted after things being so chaotic for so many years. But in the history of the AFC North, the division they've been in since the division was formed back in 2002 with the realignment, Chris, the Browns have never won the division. Steelers have won it 9 times. The Ravens have won it 7 times. Even the lowly Bengals have won it 3 times. That's 19. Yeah. None for the Browns. And now suddenly, we're not talking about the Browns being the best team in the AFC North, which they already might be. We're talking about them maybe nipping at the heels and trying to maybe be in that second spot behind Kansas City, who I think we all presume is the best team in the AFC. Where are the Browns right now, divisionally speaking, and within the structure of the AFC, with or without Clowney? He didn't have, one of the 6 intriguing teams you talked about, and this is a very intriguing team. Where are they in the hierarchy?
Well, I think Cleveland is right there with the Baltimore Ravens as the team that I would favor to win the AFC North. And if you had to put me feet to the fire, I would probably say that I would expect the Cleveland Browns to get that job done. I mean, you're talking about a double-digit win team from a year ago, and they won a playoff game, and that game in the divisional round in Kansas City was a really competitive game.
Yes,
they were double-digit dogs in that game, and it was a lot closer than the Kansas City Chiefs fans would have liked that game to be. So I think there's a lot to like in terms of the direction that this team is trending in, the positive signs that we saw from Baker Mayfield, but more so the identity of the overall team. Under Kevin Stefanski, they know who they are. They're going to run the football. They're going to control time of possession. They're going to control and dictate the complexion of the game. And then their defense is going to play bend but don't break. I think the defensive side of the ball is a work in progress, but they're getting better. I like some of the moves that they made this offseason. Hell, they bought over half of the Rams secondary with Troy Hill and John Johnson. So I think that they're trying to address some of the issues they had on the back end. And then with this visit from Jadeveon Clowney to try to get him in the fold, to bookend him with Myles Garrett, I think there's a lot of the pieces in place for this to be a team that we're talking about in championship contending. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be the team that's going to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Cleveland Browns, in terms of the landscape of the AFC, they're probably the 3rd team behind Kansas City and Buffalo. But, again, we're talking about a really good football team with a lot of young talent. I think they've just got to figure out how to win, especially once we get to the postseason.
If they did what they did in year 1 under Kevin Stefanski and that staff and getting to understand the players and what they are and who they are and how they move, in year 2 they're going to take a step forward. You're thinking about, like Canty said, bringing over Hill and bringing over Johnson from the Rams to shore up some of this young secondary to kind of help them understand. If you can sign a Clowney, it brings more pressure to bear with Myles Garrett on the opposite side. Baker Mayfield's only going to get better. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that OBJ will be back.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not they hold on to him, trading, whatever the case is, let's assume he's back. Okay. He's with the Cleveland Browns in training camp. That's going to make them even better. And so when you start to look at it, it's like confidence. They understand where they were at. They went into Kansas City and had them on the ropes. Although, you look at it and you go, okay, well, the guy did kind of get hurt a little bit there, but that's okay. They still was in the game. They were in the mix even though Patrick Mahomes was limping. They were still in the mix. And so when you think about Cleveland, they went in and punched Pittsburgh around a little bit, so they feel good about that.
On the road.
On the road. Baltimore, they're not afraid of them anymore. So it's kind of like, okay, we can play with these teams. Even though we didn't beat Kansas City, we can play with them. And we know we can play with them. And I think that is a major key for their development to continue to get better. Again, think about it. In year 1, a new staff, new system, new everything. They've had to try to get to understand their coaches. The coaches had to get to understand the players, who does what well in certain situations. The beginning of the year, Baker Mayfield was doing certain things well. The second half of the season, he was doing those same things that he did well, great, because they figured out, okay, this is who he is. We're not going to allow him to throw the ball 50 times. We're not going to do it. We're going to run the football, like Canty was saying. We're going to play sound defense, ball control. Every now and then, I need you to make 1 or 2 throws. That's all I need you to do, and we'll be in the game. And that's what they did.
when you look at it, especially now, if you're Cleveland. I mean, think about it. They played that playoff game without Stefanski. I mean, think about some of the adversity. I mean, everybody was dealing with COVID, but they actually had their first playoff game. Remember, they got into the playoffs in Week 17 by beating Pittsburgh. You see them again. You got to go there. You don't have your head coach. A lot of people. Key is assuming, and I'm with Key, but there's some people with Baker that are like, okay, but he's going to have to make a leap now, right? It's another leap because you're talking about Josh Allen. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes.
What's another leap? He went to the second round of the playoffs. Okay, so what's another leap? Is another leap going to the Super Bowl? Is another leap going to...
Well, the reason I say that is because I think there were some people that questioned whether he could make this first leap. The successful leap he'd made that you just referenced. There are people that didn't think he had that in him.
Well, here's what I would say about that. Those people never warmed up to Baker Mayfield from day one. It was always an issue. They never gave him a real opportunity and a chance. The dude was with Hugh Jackson, them having issues, coaches fighting each other, Todd and Hugh, they don't like each other. We don't want Baker, blah, blah. You got that issue. Then you get, what's the guy?
Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens. He comes from coaching the running backs to calling plays as an interim to the head coach. Then it's like, well, he never had a real chance. Then he finally gets, in his third year, a real coach in Kevin Stefanski. And Kevin Stefanski takes him and turns him to a second-round playoff quarterback in 1 year. In 1 year. So think about what he could do with him in his second year.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.